Hey everybody, it's X, and welcome back to the final premiere draft of Core Set 2020, and welcome back to the final premiere draft of Core Set 2020 this time around. These queues are getting taken off of Arena tomorrow, swapping over to flashback drafts of Streets of New Capenna. So we'll have a little bit of that coming up, as well as, of course, more cube drafts until the launch of Foundations. But with that whole spiel out of the way, let's just get into the pack one, pick one. As you can see, we opened up a Planeswalker at Uncommon. This is one of the only sets outside of War the Spark that had uncommon planeswalkers, and in this set it's specifically only Chandra. There's an uncommon, a rare, and a mythic Chandra, and all of them are very good. So I think this Chandra, the Novice Pyromancer here, is probably one of the best uncommons in the whole set. Just the ability to deal 2 damage to any target twice is already great, and of course you can keep upticking her and trying to do that over and over and over again. So we're going to start with Chandra, Novice Pyromancer. Definitely want to be playing a red deck, and ideally, to get some extra value out of the plus ability, as well as the minuses, we'd like to be playing an Elementals deck as well. That said, because the -2 is so strong, we don't really have to go that strict on an Elemental deck for Chandra as a build around. We could still go like Boros aggro with the Sky Knight Vanguard. However, I also do think Risen Reef is one of the best uncommons in the format. Elementals archetypes are some of the best decks, so starting with Risen Reef and Chandra, being able to take some of these common dual lands highly, we could push into that Elementals archetype anyway. So I'm going to grab Risen Reef here, and it's probably one of the few uncommons that actually competes with Chandra in terms of power level. For pick 3 now, we've got the Swiftwater Cliffs to help us mana fix if we're going to be playing a 3-color deck. That's going to be pretty important, and there's nothing good for an Elementals deck. If we just want to take a decent red card, the Unchained Berserker's a fine aggressive card, but outside of that, the best cards in the pack are all pretty off-color, which is not an excellent sign this early, although the only cards that were taken out of this pack were commons. There's still the 3 uncommons and the rare. There's still a common of every color. Yeah, this could just be an awkward pack in general for green, blue, red elemental nonsense. I'm going to take the Swiftwater Cliffs here. But again, if we didn't have such powerful uncommons, I think a speculative pick here would likely be best. Something like the blue-white Flyers card or the excellent white removal. The problem is we have 2 of the best uncommons in the format, so it's going to take quite a bit to get me speculating in a different direction. And for pick 4 now we've got the Overgrowth Elemental. Great for an Elementals deck. Puts a +1/+1 counter on an elemental you control, and whenever another creature you control dies, you gain a life and put a counter on this if it's an elemental. So 3 mana for a 3/2 puts a +1/+1 on the board. It's pretty good up front. However, we do have a Chandra's Regulator, and we do have a Chandra Planeswalker. Discard a mountain or a red card to draw a card. If you're lucky and you have this at the same time as a Chandra Planeswalker, then it's pretty strong, but otherwise it's quite mediocre card selection. It's just rummaging your lands away in the late game, which is hardly worth a card. Fun build around, but Overgrowth Elemental is certainly the more consistent card, especially one that's a build around that requires us to open more specific rares and mythics, right? We're pretty unlikely to open any other Chandras. So pick 5. Nothing much here. Anticipate is perfectly fine card selection. Chandra's Spitfire is an elemental. It's not a particularly powerful one, as the vast majority of the time it's just a 1/3 flyer. But we're quite far away from trying to be like a planar cleansing control deck here, so it's between Spitfire and Anticipate, I feel. Even Sleep Paralysis, but because we're in red, we should have better removal out of red than something like Sleep Paralysis in blue. Just grab the Anticipate here. Pick 6. No elementals. There is a quite late Murder. And all of these red and blue cards are very, very filler, so I'm just going to grab the best card in the pack of the Murder. Pick 7. Once again, no elementals. It is probably the strongest archetype, and as such, one of the most fought over archetypes. So this is ending a little bit awkward for us, where there's not a lot of options here at this point. I guess the Siegebreaker could be a fine reason to push Rakdos with Murder, Chandra, Siegebreaker towards that direction. Maybe even the Boneclad Necromancer's better, though. 3/3 and a 2/2 for 5. Pretty great deal. Or we can just take a filler red creature because Chandra's so strong. Yeah, I mean, Siegebreaker has some good combos, but I do think most of the time it's really just a 4-mana 4/3, which is not the most exciting. So I'm going to take the Necromancer. It's probably the stronger black spell, speculating in that direction as what looks to be one of the most open colors in this pod. I mean, look at all the black in this pack. Not that it's any good, but we're at pick 8 in a core set, so there's not going to be much that's any good at this point regardless. I guess there's a Blade Brand or Soul Salvage. These are decent little value plays. Cycle away, make sure that you trade in combat, and Soul Salvage is just decent value in the late game. Yeah, not super high on either. I'll take the Salvage. Here's an Undead Servant, which is great if you get a ton of self-mill. And this is kind of just solidifying at this point that this is not a draft pod where anyone is going to allow us access to the Elementals deck, which is very disappointing. But black is wide open. Blood Burglar versus Undead Servants. I guess since we have the first Servant, we should just take more of these and start working on the self-mill Undead Servant deck. That said, Blood Burglar is a great deal too. 2 mana, 2/2 lifelink. Pretty good by this core set's standards. Pick 11, there's the Unchained Berserker, just to be Rakdos good stuff in general for now, as the Elemental's direction really hasn't panned out. There's the Chandra's Regulator. Yeah, maybe it could be like Orzhov control-y stuff, but I still think Chandra's super, super strong. So, still going to speculate on her here towards Rakdos. Fathomfleet Cutthroat, genuinely not bad. Alright, pack 2, pick 1. Of course, great elemental cards that we open up here, but we're not going to get past anymore. So very good rare, the Dungeon Geists, but it requires us to push to blue. We are really only 2 very good cards deep into red and 1 just kind of fun speculative card. We're much heavier into black at this point. With how open the color looked, that's definitely the spot we should be. Blue did look more open than red, generally. Although I think black and white are the most open colors in the pod. I think blue's open enough to just pivot onto the Dungeon Geists. This card is very absurd. A 3/3 flyer that locks down your opponent's best threat until they kill the Geists. Really just puts you pretty far ahead on board. So, very big fan of the card. This pack is not the greatest for us, because the strongest card is in green, and green is extremely overdrafted in this pod. Don't know that Hydra's strong enough to push green when there's so much competition over getting the good green cards. Probably just take a Meteor Golem for the top end of the curve. If we go blue-black, it's a more controlling color pair that can definitely make it to 7 mana. And then having like a Soul Salvage to bring it back later could be pretty nasty. There's also some Reanimator spells for it. Pick 3. There's another Murder. Black continues to be wide open, as does white. Master Splicer's quite a lot of beef for the mana cost. Pick 4. It's a Shock out of the red. Nice cheap removal. Yeah, these blue cards are weak enough to still keep the Rakdos stream open over the full Dungeon Geists pivot, because I just don't think we're going to be excited about any of these cards in our blue deck. Certainly not going to be excited about the Barony Vampire. And this is kind of how draft goes in general. You are going to get past some cards in the most heavily drafted color in pack 2, because the players that are passing you the cards during pack 1 are not the same passing you the cards in pack 2. So the players on our left also got cut off of green, so we do see a couple pretty strong green cards this pack, but it's more important to read the signals coming from the right and draft according to that, because pack 3 is one, once again, there's going to be no green, because pack 1 there was no green, now pack 3, when we're getting passed from the same direction, it's going to be no green again. Pick 5. So the bow deals the damage. So Heartpiercer Bow Blade Brand is not really a combo, but Heartpiercer Bow Fathomfleet Cutthroat is, and we do have 1 Cutthroat. So bow could be kind of cute here. Stronger the more copies you have, and if we get to go blue-black, we could have the card that tutors the bow out, which is pretty fun. I do think the Cutthroat's going to be more consistent generally, but I've got a lot of 4s right now, so I'll speculate on a bow. It's a pretty fun card. Pick 6, another Undead Servant. Join the party. We need to find some Gorging Vultures to be able to self-mill to make these servants really good, but they should still be fine. Alright, well, sorry, Blood Burglar. We're gonna have, like, no 2-drops because I'm taking all the Undead Servants over them just to make sure that's a thing. But yeah, getting every Undead Servant in the pod is gonna make this card very strong. Pick 8. Wow, alright, so blue... Players on our left are in blue, players on our right are in green. Nobody's in white. I think I take the Cutthroat here, and I just try to get a bunch of good blue in pack 3. Feels better than just taking an Ember Cat when we don't really have elementals to use it with anyway. It's just a 2-2, really. There's the Blood Burglar coming back to us, pick 9. Very happy to see that. Pick 10, another Blood Burglar. Maybe everybody fought so hard over green that everybody dropped it. Pack 1 at this point. Alright, move everybody over here. Need some 3-mana creatures, it looks like. Well, there you go, Audacious Thief, one of Black's best 3-mana creatures. If this gets in uncontested, it's a massive card draw engine. And obviously you've got a bunch of removal in Black to try to help it do that. Okay, Barony Vampire just sucks. But we're not playing anything else here. Yeah, this whole pack just sucks. Another Fathom Fleet for speculative fixing. I guess I probably should have taken the speculative fixing, because come to think of it, we have 4 4-drops with these Undead Servants, and we're not going to want to cut any copies of them, because the more we have, the stronger they are. So we'll have to cut other 4-mana cards. There's no way we can run 3 copies of Cutthroat here. Okay, pack 3, pick 1. Pattern Matcher with a bunch of Undead Servants is fun. Or Blood for Bones Reanimation is fun. Yeah, I like both of these. I feel like Blood for Bones is more likely to wheel, because Black is not very heavily drafted here. So I'll take the Pattern Matcher here, take the good colorless card, and wheel the colored one. We could still be Rakdos. We'll see. Get another 2-drop in Rakdos instead of another 4, and I've got a lot of 4s. Although I guess I do get another 4 with Chandra. Alright. Very bad Rakdos cards. 1 very solid black 2-drop. 1 Gorging Vulture, which is incredible with our Undead Servants. And a Spectral Sailor, which is just really good in general. This is an excellent uncommon. 1/1 flyer. You flash it in as well, and it's just a card draw engine to take over the long game. I really like Spectral Sailor, but I think Gorging Vulture looks very important with the Undead Servant, plus it has the big upside of fitting into Rakdos or Dimir, and allowing us to still go either direction here. Pack 3, pick 3, let's go, Undead Servant number 5. We're doing the thing. Pick 4. Wow, alright, well, I guess if I just stuck to my guns of elementals the entire draft, I would have been fine, but we really saw stone cold nothing after pick like 3 of pack 1 towards an elementals deck, so that's pretty awkward. There's no good Rakdos. There's no good red, I mean. There's a Bone to Ashen Blue, which is pretty good. Or Bone Splinters, but I don't really have expendable stuff to sack the Splinters, and I already have Double Murder, Chandra Shock, Meteor Golem. It's not an insane amount of removal, but I think it's enough to not try to play a Bone Splinters without sack fodder. Okay. Pick 5, Unchained Berserker's fine, but Agonizing Siphon's actually pretty solid and sticks to the core color of black. Pick 6, Dismal Backwater or Ogre Siegebreaker. Do I have combos for the Ogre Siegebreaker now? I don't think I do. I've got 1 Heart Piercer Bow. Heart Piercer Bow Siegebreaker is hilarious, but without those 2 exact cards together, Doesn't do much. I've already got the Cutthroat Heartpiercer bow if I really want to do that. But I probably have to cut every other 4-drop. Yeah, I think I'm literally cutting everything out of the 4-mana slot except Servants and Pattern Matchers, so I'll grab this Backwater if we go blue-black. Just a Blade Brand here. Unsummon is pretty solid. Could unsummon our own Undead Servant and recast it. Actually do quite like that. But Sanitarium Skeleton's good with Bone Splinters if we wheel that. It's also a solid creature to chump attack in when you've got Fathom Fleet Cutthroats in hand. But again, I'm probably cutting all the Cutthroats. Decent creature to mill with Gorging Vulture too. But I'm going to get cheeky with it. I'm going to go blue so I can do unsummon Undead Servant nonsense. Because that sounds fun. Alright, this is a 23 non-land card deck. So we're kind of pre-built here. I could Blood for Bones. The only thing I have that really works with it is Gorging Vulture. So I'd rather just grab another Agonizing Siphon. Another Blood Burglar for sure. This is unfortunately not super main deckable. It's going to be really good in the right matchup, but a complete dead draw in the wrong one. Well, I guess Legion's End is actually removal. It's pretty narrow removal. Do I have room for that after 2 murders, Agonizing Siphon, Bone Dash? All that stuff? Probably not. I'm just going to take the Skeleton. If we mill it off the Vulture, that's decent. It's an early chumper as well. Okay. 27 cards here. I get to cut a few still. So I have 26 non-lands. I get to cut 3 non-land cards. Probably Mind Rot for sure. This is not like a hand trap kind of deck, just trying to make your opponent discard some goodies. We're just trying to control the board, really. So there's our pretty poopy Vampire. Pretty poopy Mind Rot. And the one of Heartpiercer bow, because it plays a lot better with multiples, and we cut all of the combos with it. The 4 mana creatures that come in and destroy something that was dealt damage, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, looks like a good cut to me. Got a great amount of interaction here with 2 murders, 2 agonizing siphons, Bone Dash for a counter, and unsummon for a bounce. And our win condition is just Undead Servant nonsense, just kind of hard casting these, trading them off early, and in the late game, winning it out with a bunch of 2/2 zombies. Solid little deck here. Looks like a pretty fun one, so we will save it like this. We'll call it a deck here, head into the gameplay, and see how it does. Alright, here we are for game 1. This hand's a little high on mana, could definitely flood out. If we can get an Audacious Thief attack in or 2, that is going to help us a lot. And we've got the Unsummon, a well-timed Unsummon, could absolutely help us do that. Metropolis Sprite from our opponent. They're on blue, red, and white for now. Here's the Blood Burglar to win the race against that all day long with that lifelink. Ooh, 5 color? Red, white, blue, and green. We don't see any black mana from them yet, but I would not be surprised. Ooh, Hanged Executioner, one of the better rares in the format. It's a removal spell that comes with a 1/1 flyer they get to keep around. And it's even more flexible than that. Sometimes you just aggro your opponent out with it, because it's 2 flying power for 3 mana, spread amongst 2 creatures. Super flexible card. There's Thicket Crasher. Down to 18. And here's where that Unsummon's going to go pretty hard. Give us the Audacious Thief card draw. Tax them another 4 mana to recast that Crasher later. Just find an island. We're doing pretty good on hitting spells here. One day I will click at the correct area and cast my Blood Burglar. Risen Reef, alright. So they're probably just like green, red, blue elementals at the core, maybe just splashing in an Executioner. That's kind of a little bomb removal spell thing. 1 mana off from a double spell. Let's see what we draw before we choose what we do here. But yeah, this whole race is really not working out for our opponent because of our double Blood Burglar, which is quite nice. They are going to start going pretty crazy into Value Town with Risen Reef, though. Imagine we have to play to the board here rather than drop Anticipate with our opponent down to 9. They're also stuck on 4 lands, which is kind of a big deal. Risen Reef could dig them out of that, though. If they hit a land, it goes right onto the board. Wow. They've drawn 2 extra cards now, 1 from Reef, 1 from the Crasher Reef trigger. Still none of the extra lands they need. So, I imagine we anticipate pre-combat now, because I think I need to attack with everybody into their board and just lose one of them into Thicket Crasher. So we'll see if any of our draws affect our combat. Like if we draw Murder, we'll just murder the Crasher, then attack with everybody. Okay, not a murder. Not exactly, but a murder next turn. So there goes Audacious Thief. Suppose I could draw Murder off of that and do that pre-combat still. So Audacious Thief goes into the garbage bin. Everybody else gets damage in or actually kills some creatures, which is super worth it. They're down to 4 now. We drop another Servant. Actually, the Soul Salvage is not worth it yet. Yeah, no. Because I won't be able to immediately recast anything I pick up. Plus, if I get to, like, cast a Meteor Golem and then have that die and Soul Salvage up a Meteor Golem alongside, like, an Undead Servant, those would be a really good couple of cards to pick up. Because they'd both be 2-for-1s. Alright. They are full 5-color. There's Jungle Hollow from our opponent. Still missing the lands on the Risen Reef triggers, though. But that's 3 extra cards they've drawn off of it regardless. Ooh, Agonizing Siphon. I imagine Meteor Golem has to just be better than that. I could Siphon and Soul Salvage and have my creatures ready to cast next turn, but at that point I might as well just get a 3/3 on the board. Kill a Thicket Crasher, send in the squad. They get to eat my Blood Burglar, trump a Servant, take 3 is their best block. And then I can just finish them off with the Siphon, because this surprisingly goes face. So if they don't hit a life gain land, they are going to die. Oh, how'd they lose both creatures? Oh, they stopped both Undead Servant damages. Okay, so they decided to take 2 instead of 3 there and lose all the creatures. Kill an Undead Servant instead of a Blood Burglar as well. Alright, they're tapped out, and we are in there. It's a pretty sick combo, Woodland Champion Scampering Scorcher. They also have the Scampering Scorcher plus Risen Reef combo. Pretty cool deck over there. 5-color elemental combo, Hanged Executioner splash stuff. But Blood Burglars really grind out that race for us, and we end the game far ahead in life total. Start things off 1-0 heading into game 2. Alright, game 2. Our opening hand's even a little better than last time. 3-lander instead of a 4-lander. Meteor Golem being in the opener is a little awkward. It's going to be quite some time before that matters, but Gorging Vulture seems really good in this deck. And we've only got the 1 copy, so I like being able to run that out turn 3. Moat Piranhas. GG, Blood Burglar. It's all the work you're going to do this game. Oof. Those are some bad mills. 1 creature only, and it's a pattern matcher. None of the other 4 Undead Servants. Pretty tragic. But I've got the Soul Salvage at least for the pattern matcher once we have an Undead Servant on board, which looks like right now. Probably some blue-white flyer stuff here, just using the Moat Piranhas to keep the ground troops off of them, and then slam down some big flyers to win with in the long run. Hopefully Meteor Golem is going to get some mileage here. Kill a 5-mana 4/4 flyer or something. Alright. Well, Blood Burglar attacks right into the piranhas, but everybody else can send in and trade here at worst. Okay, there is no Essence Scatter in this format, so it's going to be 3/2/2 from Undead Servant. The creature counter in the format is Bone Dash at 4 mana. Brineborn Cutthroat is the play, so they're probably running a lot of instants in their deck. Pretty controlling blue-white build then. Yep, and there's the blue-white Flyers build around. So I'm still 3 land draws away from the Meteor Golem, which is rough. Okay, 2 land draws away from it. But if we get there, we're obviously going to kill Empyrean Eagle to highly reduce their flying damage. Hmm. 2 3 toughness creatures now is rough. Literally only Undead Servant gets to attack now. I don't really have time. I gotta keep the pressure on here because we're taking like 5 on the crackback. I don't think I can sit here and like do the soul salvage thing waiting to pattern match an Undead Servant. I think I just need to jam that one in and soul salvage Undead Servants back later. Oh, from a graveyard. You don't even have to exile your own. Okay, Necromancer's actually sick. That's very nice. Spectral Sailor, super good card. Talked about that during the draft. Card is phenomenal. Looks like it's going to be really good here because our opponent's down to 1 card in hand. They've got 6 mana on board. They can just start dumping mana into that thing. Specifically holding up 5 mana here. Slightly suspicious, but alright. We finally get the piranhas out of here. Let's go. Piranhas deleted. 5 mana. I guess they're holding up double blue. This is just Bone Dash. Sure, you can Bone Dash a Blood Burglar. They say no to that. Pick up a Servant and a Pattern Matcher because we want another Servant in the grave, and Servant is cheaper than Necromancer. Get a 3/2 and a 2/2 instead of a 3/3 and a 2/2. And then it allows the Pattern Match combo as well. Yeah, that's definitely the play. Get the Wombo combo together. United. Alright, so now they draw their card here. Again, they would have double buffed Sprite if all they had was the Sailor ability, because they could still do that for the 4. So we're pretty sure they're on like Bone Dash here. Something that requires double blue. So I think Undead Servant's going to have to get countered here, because I can't Pattern Match her before it. Gross, they've got exactly Bone Dash mana up after that. Oh. I just need to draw 1 removal spell to kill this eagle. Or 2 lands to play the golem. And then the floodgates are open and we just start jamming, but the Sailor's putting in so much work till then. I can't play more than 1 spell here. Yeah, we have to just let Servant get countered. Because that gets the counter out of the way for Meteor Golem. Good draw. Stun the Flyer. We're dead in 2 swings now. Man, yeah, this is tragic. Just needed a little more removal. By a little more, I just mean 1 more. If we killed the eagle just like a few turns ago, we've got a lot of swings in here with the lifelink and everything. but just only one removal spell this game. I mean, I guess we have the Meteor Golem, but we don't have the mana for it, so that is GG here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on the crackback. I can only go up to 10. That's just game. Could not hit the removal we needed, even halfway through the deck. Tragic draws are tragic. We are 1-1. Alright, here we are for game number 3. Burglar into Thief, pattern matcher on Burglar for some card draw. Obviously, if we draw a Servant instead, we'll pattern match that. The hand looks good. Dungeon Geist. We found our double blue card. So we do need to draw an island for that, but it is a powerful card. Moat Piranhas again. Well, give me any land so we can break through the moat. Ideally a blue source, that would be incredible. Dungeon Geisting's down, the Moat Piranhas would be perfect. Let's go. Let's go. Sit down. Whee! Now Thief trades for Seer. We basically both spent 3 to trade our 3-drop off and draw a card. Perfectly even trade. Let me get the blocker out of the way. Could you imagine if somebody opened up like 2 copies of the same rare and they just get to like pattern match or a second Dungeon Geists? Be absolutely filthy. Winged Words, draw 2. Divination's back, baby. Pass the turn. No 5th mana's a tiny bit sad. They're gonna unsummon Dungeon Geist? Okay. That's super fine. Just drop the Undead Servant. Trade that into Moat Piranhas and get a Servant at my grave. Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Metropolis Sprite. Island was quite a good draw. I'm gonna unsummon the higher mana value creature. Soak up more of their mana. Make it harder for them to come back from this board state. Technically, yeah, I could Dungeon Geist the better creature, but by bouncing it instead, they have to be less efficient with their mana this turn. Because if they just like top deck a land, they'd have the mana to like replay Moat Piranhas and play a 4-mana removal spell, like Agonizing Siphon or something. Okay, 3/3 Fathom Fleet Cutthroat, 1/2 Metropolis Sprites. Don't need to siphon the Cutthroat, but if I do, I can get Burglar in as well. I think I'm saving it for the Flyer. Can just Pattern Match or Necromancer this turn. I'm going Necromancer. Did I draft 2 Necromancers? No, I only got the 1 copy. Tragic. So Pattern Match is just on Blood Burglar right now. Oh, double Aerialist. Hello there. That's an issue. It's a pretty decent draw. However, I feel like it's best to kill these Aerialists before they draw into any Siphons or Blood Burglars of their own. Let's unlock the moat and kill an Aerialist here. I guess they could double block Geists with 2 sprites and buff one of them, but I would kill both sprites. Oh wow, this is a surprising outcome. But I will take that. Now I don't have to siphon here. Just drop the Servant. They've got 2 cards in hand here. Next turn we get to Pattern Match or Undead Servant and then send it in. Never mind. Undead Servant is not attacking next turn. One of the cards is a Frostlings. Ooh, the Soul Salvage double Aerialist. That explains a lot. And that's certainly a problem. So Pattern Matcher Anticipate now. Imagine I Anticipate first. Could find something better to do. Siphon is not better to do until the Aerialists are out. That said, trading into Aerialists is still good. So we're going to post-combat Agonizing Siphon. But probably just going to go Moat Piranhas on one of the 3/3s, and then Lynx on the 3/2. Yeah, no, Moat Piranhas on the 3/3, Lynx on the 3/2. They get to keep the Flyers that way. Which will charge up the next Undead Servant at least, which is definitely good. I guess I have 6 to face in hand. What if we play this out just trying to get to a position where we end up... Oh, never mind. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not shooting the aerialists now. Because the siphons can just all go to their face. And I was thinking, what if we just try to get to a position where our board state's wide enough that we chip them down to 6 with an all-out attack? But yeah, if they let the Undead Servant through, then we are definitely trying to go for double siphon here. The only real risk to this plan is that they're running 2 aerialists, so they're likely to have their own siphons. So we really need them to not draw into siphons to gain the life here. They have 6 blockers, we have 4, 5, 6, 7 attackers. We hit them with at least 1 creature, and if that creature is an Undead Servant, they're gonna die. If not, 2 attacks still kills them, or just 2 turns of siphon. I mean, we're just going. They have some really good blocks here. The 2 aerialists can kill 2 of our 2/2s. The 2/2 and the 2/1 can kill the 3/2s. And then the sprites trade into zombies. But they take some chip damage, and that is the important part. And it is super, super possible for them to just die here. Actually, yeah, what am I only needed to get 2 damage through to kill them. Because I have 3 damage in hand. The Befuddle? Pretty good last card. Or I guess they had 2 cards. That's a good one to have. Alright, well. All in on them not top decking life gain. Out of the Befuddle draw plus their draw step. That's a lifelinker. That's a lifelinker. And that's a lifelinker. So they hit 3 life gain cards in a row, but they're all summoning 6, so it doesn't matter. Woo! Oh my god. Alright. We were super, super dead. If they siphoned us, or siphoned our 2/2 that turn. Because we have like no board state left. There's the GG from opponent. That is 2-1 now. Heading into game number 4. Saved by the bell on that one. Saved by summoning sickness of all things. Here we go again. Blood Burglar holding up a murder. Servant chain begins. Sedge Scorpion. Your 1-drop's gonna trade into my 2-drop lifelinker. Tragic. Oh no. And you're the bane of the format. Elemental's nonsense. Yeah, really good static ability. Let me just murder that. Alright, I like the no play. No turn 3 play from our opponent. Can double spell next turn. Take the trade, coward. Dang it. Still just jamming this out and trading on blocks for the next servant we hit, or soul salvage, or anything like that. I will happily trade into a combat trick also. Okay, maybe not Feral Invocation. I would have happily traded into any like instant kind of combat trick that just goes right into the grave, but 6/5 trample is a problem. And because of the trample, I think we just jam with the skeleton too. And hand's empty. We're all on draws here. We need to hit another murder. Or an unsummon would work really well as well. We actually have a lot of outs, because I have enough mana for Meteor Golem too. So I can hit Meteor Golem, unsummon, murder, my ghosts thing. I have at least 4 outs to the Thicket Crasher. 2 other cards would be pretty good. The Agonizing Siphons would help us win the race, just clearing out another creature. Pattern match the Crasher, probably. No, the Netcaster Spider. Cool. Alright, anticipate, find one of the, like, 6 really good cards I listed. Those are none of the really good cards I listed. Oh, no. Well, we take the 2 for 1. The options were that or just a single Blood Burglar. It's like I could take a Blood Burglar and cast it, or I could take a Soul Salvage, cast a Blood Burglar, and have an Undead Servant for later. Oh, not the Mythic Uncommon. The only uncommon Planeswalker. And I think that wins it. Pretty much wins it. God, they got another combat trick? Seems good. GG. 2-2 heading into game 5. Alright, mono black hand here for game number 5, but some great spells. And our very important 2-drop lifelinker to get rolling in here. Anticipate from our opponent. Fan favorite Frostlink strikes again. This is green-blue elementals from our opponent, so another flavor of the elementals nonsense. Portal of Sanctuary. That can be kind of annoying with Frostlinks, but it gets really, really disgusting with Risen Reef and stuff. I'm going to play off curve a little bit to run out the Vulture before the Servants, because if this mills just one Undead Servant, it's going to be so good. Never will. The RNG has been kind of tragic for us today. Both of our losses were due to drawing like 1 removal spell halfway through the deck, when we're like a 5 or 6 removal spell deck. And now, this is our second Vulture cast, 0 Undead Servants milled either time in a 5 Undead Servant deck. I am sad. Alright. It's pretty gross, but it gives me some Gorging Vulture shenanigans. I need to find a murder for this 5-4. Even then, it's still an issue. Let's gain some life. Alright, at least I milled 1 servant now. I've officially done the thing. Cloud Conceer, draw a card. Ooh, Cloud Concealer Portal of Sanctuary is really gross. They go for the Frostlings, though, instead. Interesting. That's pretty fine with me. Especially that stun, because now I'll just get a little lifelink on the backswing. Yeah, I would have been more unhappy with them portaling Cloud Concealer. Either trade is good for us, it gives them less portal options, and if they don't trade, that's also fine for us for the life gain. To stick around more consistently. Okay. I've got a hard choice here, where I can Undead Servant to have significantly better blocks, go Servant and Burglar, but I can also Siphon and Burglar, be at a relatively hardy life total, and stop some of their Portal of Sanctuary shenanigans. I mean, either way, Burglar's happening, and it's good that he is, because double lifelink is going to be great here. I think I'm going to Siphon the card draw from our opponent. Go to 16. Alright, turn the Frostlinks into a little card draw engine. Oh, wow. Picks up all the enchantments, too. Forgot about that part. So you just get to recast the hardcover here and just have the 2/4 up on blocks. Plus get that card selection from it. So the 2/4 on blocks against the 2/2 lifelinker. That's pretty gross. Gonna hold that off pretty well. Let's start just dumping infinite copies of Undead Servant into the grave. Play this. Throw our whole board underneath the Silverback Shaman. I guess they get the Portal back Frostlings, stun the Servant, and then I still get the block Shaman with 2/2/2s. They could Portal back the Frostlings, stun the Servant, slap the hardcover onto the Shaman. They've got a 6 toughness Shaman at that point. Oh, a 7/7 has arrived. And there's our infinite blocker for it. I guess not infinite, because they can Frostlings down the skeleton. There's our many time blocker for it. They're probably going to have to think about Frostlings and Gorging Vulture at this point. Just going to give me a lot of time to stabilize here with all these blockers. We hit our rare flyer, that's going to be super, super nasty. Well, there's their flyer. However, they also sleep paralysis ours. That's going to be their win condition now, since they can't really break through this board state. Full salvage still does, like, nothing. Both my murders and my meteor golem are in the bottom 15 here. And my stun flyer. Basically all of my hard removal is deep in there. Really don't have attacks here, and I don't have soul salvage targets either. Start losing the race to a Metropolis Sprite. They have 4 blockers total. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If they hit absolutely nothing, I have lethal on board. The problem is they can always just portal back Frostlings and cast that, and then I don't. But I am not far from lethal. Like, once I cast this next Undead Servant, I should definitely have lethal going wide. I'm pretty happy we got rid of the flyer that draws cards. They could have drawn a lot from that portal by now. They're still getting some hardcover card selection, which is definitely good, letting them ditch lands to draw. But it's not as good as it could have been. Alright. Setting up that go wide lethal for next turn. Currently 5 blockers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. That is not lethal. If I salvage now, I'm not even casting something yet next turn. So now they can re-Frostlings a 3-power creature. Block 5 creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Guess it's still not quite lethal. I've still got another Agonizing Siphon in there, though. So, Siphon, Meteor Golem, the Stungeists, Murder. At least 5 lethal draws. I guess if they have like a really good defensive play here, maybe not. I got my fingers crossed, though. I'm hopeful. And even if we don't find immediate lethal, if I can just get like Meteor Golem specifically, this Soul Salvage could maybe put in work. Because we can get a chump attack in with the Meteor Golem where they can't really decide not to block it. Although if they stun the Meteor Golem with the Frostlings, I can't chump attack with it, but then I can chump attack with Undead Servants that they can't really block. Okay. So they have 6 blockers now, so they're definitely not dead. They're taking 7 on board, so Agonizing Siphon's a lethal draw. Any of the removal is still a very good draw, but not lethal. An Island is a very bad draw, and not lethal. I mean, an all attack is still... It's still gonna put them low. It's still gonna put them to 3, and then I get to Soul Salvage with 9 mana, so I'd have 6 up. I can Soul Salvage recast a Servant and a Burglar to have blockers to not die on the crackback. Plus I'd gain 4, I'd be at 15. And I could probably go for the 2-turn kill. The issue is free kill, but then there's trades, like we clear out these 3. And I keep a lot of creatures. I think we just flunge it. We just flunge it and recast the servant and get a bunch of zombies. Do they hit tapped? Oh my god, the zombies hit untapped. We're so fine to do this then. Good. Siphon's a super lethal top deck, but also... I think I'm going to pick up Double Servant at this point, even though I can only cast 1 right now. Maybe that's wrong, because that means this one gives me less zombies, but it's still enough to definitely not die and definitely kill them next turn. There's the Risen Reef, the build around in green-blue. Yeah, I think I probably should have still just gotten the 2-2. Okay, Wave Crasher, trigger the Reef. And there's the concession. It's way too many zombies. Ooh. Stressfully close game, though. Not finding the removal for that Shaman or Vorse Claw really ever. Means we really needed the zombie armies to stabilize there, and luckily we really got them. We are 3-2 now. At least a 50-50 run for this draft, but we are going to have to get another win or two here if we want to leave with all our gems intact. So 3-2 heading into game 6. Ooh, mono blue opener with mono black spells. We are on a mulligan here. This is a keeper, but barely. Oh. I'll ditch one of the siphons. Have more to play to the board proactively. Well, now it feels bad. I mean, I guess the servants play well in multiples. We are on the draw here as well, so our opponent has the aggressive tempo being on the play. Oh my god. I'm actually a genius. I foresaw the future. They're going to play some 2-2s here and be like, yeah, I'm going to trade my 2-2s up into a 3-2. Oh no, it's another Flyers deck. So these servants might never trade, and then they're just 3-2s. That would be real bad. Oh, an actual mythic rare? That is an insanely good card. Holy lord. For loyalty, I can't do any damage here, and then they get a 4-4 flyer. So a 3-mana 4-4 flyer that's going to keep making my board worse. I just don't think I can beat that on the draw. If we were on the play, I'd have a servant out this turn, but by the time I can even cast a servant, they have the 4-4. Well, shoot. I mean, I can siphon her, but then it was 3 mana to make a 4-4 flyer and make your opponent discard their removal spell just to stop me from making even more flyers. Yeah, this is a horrific start to the game, and we're already down a card from the mulligan. So now we're down 2 cards because we just got 2 for 1 pretty hard by Mu Yanling. And the mana discounted winged words. Well, GG. Rip. I could go up 1,000,000 cards if somehow this Vulture hits a Servant, but with 3 of them in our hand, it's very unlikely to do so. Oh no. Flying Double Striker? Okay, it didn't make it any bigger yet, so that's good. But that's terrifying. Terrifying combination of abilities. Okay, that's not a bad draw. Could choose to bounce here. They gain 1, I gain 2. But I don't actually want to put Dungeon Geist in front of Chaplain if it attacks in, because if they have any combat trick, it's so bad for me. But I can put Bud Burglar in front of it and bounce. Miss out on the life gain. Oh my god, another Winged Words. I'm so far behind in cards. They have Bone to Ash mana up exactly. RIP Gorging Vulture. Bone to Ash my Sanitarium Skeleton, please. Thank you. I want to do this pre-combat because I want to know what blockers I have up before I choose my attacks. Yeah. Signposted Bone to Ash is signposted. I'm gonna take 3 on the crackback. I think we just jam. Actually, just 2, because I can still sell skeleton on the chaplain here. Gross. More flying is not what I want to see. I have so much on the ground, potentially. But I gotta survive the flyers. No longer have attacks. We cannot trade Dungeon Geists off. And Blood Burglar just bounces. Skeleton does nothing. It's going to be a slow loss, but I think I was accurate in the initial assessment where we just started insanely far behind from turn 3 when they dropped that Mew. Or Moo. Here comes +2/+1 to everybody, I guess. That's +1 toughness. We can do that and still be good. I actually don't even know if that's a card in this format, the +2/+1. I don't think it super matters at this point. This feels like the fairest block. The Servant eats the Chaplain by itself. If they don't play any tricks, we don't lose any creatures and we kill the Chaplain. And if they do play a trick, we're more likely to kill it. Oh, +2/+1 does exist in the format. Well, that's good. I think I made the best block I could there. Not that it matters much at 4. But we'll see. I do gain a little bit of life here. We're going to have to let Dungeon Geists die at this point. We need to trade that off into Angel on blocks. They have no attackers on the ground, so we send all of that in to gain back some life. Oh boy. Second Bone to Ash. They've got exactly 4 up. Convolute. That works as well. They have 5 damage in the sky this turn. The 3rd Winged Words, so that we're like, I don't know, 5 cards behind at this point or something, because every Winged Words is a 2-for-1. If they have a good combat trick here to make Ace eat the Dungeon Geists, I die anyway, so I'm just going to take that bluff. Because if I let it through and then they have anything where the double strike would kill my creature without dying, then it would just deal lethal damage to me and I'd die. And now we have to block Dawning Angel. Well, no, I've got the life gain from the Burglar. I only have enough mana to cast one of these spells, and I think I need to cast the Undead Servant, right? For faster races. I guess I can block Pegasus, go to 2 here. 2 life is enough to draw a card off Thief. But they're at 17. I can have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm not even going to have lethal crackback next turn anyway. I think I actually play the Thief then, because it can help draw into removal to survive 2 more turns instead of just 1 more. Stop! What is this? 4th Winged Words, the full play set? You have too many cards. That is actually humorous, especially if I don't draw land off of the Audacious Thief. Okay. They didn't have a counterspell last turn, so unless they drew one off of Winged Words, Meteor Golem's going to be pretty massive here. Ooh, whoa. Did they draw another +2/+1 to everybody? Whoa! They give me the kills? Let's go. No, they drew another counterspell. Oh my god. Well, those blocks were incredibly good for me. So I think I would just be dead if they didn't block. Since they had the Bone to Ash, the Meteor Golem. I guess I don't know. I would be at 6 from the life gain. They wouldn't have lethal flying, but if they found removal for Dungeon Geists, I'd be dead this turn. Okay, Metropolis Sprites. Yep, that sucks. We play around Convolute, right? If they want to trade in a skeleton, they are welcome to. Still no ground troops from them, so might as well get my 1 free point of damage, and if they don't block. Convolute's counter unless we pay 4, so by murdering here, we play around that. By murdering first. And then servanting. Okay, they did not have the convolute. They certainly would have convoluted the servant. Bounce skeleton takes 7. Take it all. That's a big one. I don't like revealing every card in my hand here, but I'm going to have to play the 8th land to play the servant. So I just play it pre-combat to play around Convolute. Or pre-pattern matcher to play around Convolute. But I will be empty-handed here. If they have instant speed removal for Dungeon Geists, we lose. They kill that and kill us with the 4/4 flyer. Nice from opponent. Brandborn Cutthroats. Again, as long as it's not removal for Dungeon Geists, we're still in this. And they don't have instant speed removal for Geists in hand. They have to top deck it. This is their last draw of the game. Plains? Ooh! That was so hard fought. I did not think that was just winnable at all. And I think with just like slightly different blocks at any point, obviously slightly different draws, could have all crumpled for us. Again, I don't know for sure, but I think being able to rip out some of those flyers with that earlier attack was absolutely essential to surviving that long. If they just took all the damage, they had a hardy life, they're like 17 or something. Took it all, went for like 2 crackbacks in a row. I think we die there. But I'm not sure. Because again, it would depend on what we had in our hand, and they wouldn't know what we had, and what other cards they had in their hand. Maybe they had stuff that specifically incentivized them to try to grind the game out longer. Preserve that life total. Crazy game. Crazy game, and we are 4-2 officially, breaking even now and getting more wins than losses. But if we can get one more win, we're in the money for this final M20 draft. Mono black hand with the double blue spell, that's a snap keep. I mean, it just has our dream curve of Burglar into Vulture into Undead Servant. That's kind of like the dream black curve in the format. So we're going to roll with it. In terms of the commons, obviously there are plenty of rares and uncommons and stuff. That would be a stronger curve out than that, but I think that's about the best you can hope for out of commons. With black as a color in the set. Another blue-white deck. Lots of blue-white flyers hanging out. Okay. Drawn another swamp and another blue spell. So these are a little bit awkward draws, but we did need the land for sure. Okay, this is a super fine trade. Here's the Vulture. Don't mill an island. Don't mill an island. It milled 2 islands. What are you doing, Vulture? You're supposed to be on my team. At least you milled an Undead Servant. Frostlink's the Vulture. Our best friend. We've seen this guy in almost every game. And we're missing land drops. This is not good, Vulture. If we lose this game, I'm blaming you. That double island was an absolute travesty. Okay. So we're not playing a game of Magic, it looks like. I've got a good hand to grind this out. I have to just take trades at this point. And slow the opponent down. Oh boy, an even bigger flyer. Metropolis Sprite, triggering Griffin Protector, so it's a 3/4 flyer here. Snap trade, easy. Take 5. Okay, I will absolutely trade into a combat trick as well with my token. That's an awkward draw. Kind of wish I traded with Servant instead of token now. That is what it is. They only have 1 ground attacker. If they removal spell pattern matcher, I'll take the extra 2. So our best draws here are our second copy of Agonizing Siphon. Our islands would be kind of important to hit at some point. I don't think it matters, though. I think we're missing too many land drops now. Yeah, it's 7. Even if we hit like the best draws in the whole deck at this point. This one looks super over. It's even a 4 toughness block against the 3 power things. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's lethal, and we have nothing we can do about it. 4 and 3. Little disappointing. I think this is probably not the lowest this deck could do, but it feels like a bit of a low roll in terms of some RNG variant stuff there. I mean, like that last game. Those land draws were quite bad. Milling the 2 lands, especially when they were both blue sources, was pretty tragic. And our other 2 losses were kind of just lowballing the amount of removal we could draw, low rolling that. because those were both games where if we just had like one of these a little earlier, they would have been winnable. But that's also probably the biggest thing that could have gone better in the draft. We were dancing around a lot of different areas. We started a completely different direction than we ended up. And I think dancing around between blue and red a little extra long might have made the deck a little bit weaker as well. Had we had one or two more copies of Murder or Siphon, that would have helped in those games that we lost that were very removal based. And maybe if we had found our lane a little sooner, we would have had a little bit more removal like that. Outside of that lack of removal, though, I think the deck's pretty good. We had some mana issues, but I don't think the deck has a bad mana base. It has 8 blue sources for its I guess 2 double blue cards, but 8 blue sources, 10 black sources, still a pretty good mana base, and we are way heavier into black than blue, so I agree with the Arena auto-suggested 10-8. Yeah, 10-8 split I think is quite decent, quite average for your draft deck. I don't think the mana base is a huge issue, even if it played out a little rough for us. Yeah, just a little bit of a lack of removal outside of that. Pretty good deck. Pretty good deck to wrap up the format with. Would have liked to see a slightly better run than a nice average break even on gems 4 and 3. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.